So most of you are building wealth in the wrong containers and buckets. You might be earning money, maybe even saving it, but if it's sitting in accounts that aren't actually working for you, or they're in your personal name with no separation, or with zero structure around it to protect what you're building and to pass it on to your legacy when the time comes, then we're not doing this in the right direction. Not because you're doing something completely wrong, but because no one has actually showed you the full picture of how to really build wealth. There are 7 accounts that change everything about how your money grows, how it's protected, and more importantly, how it eventually moves to the next generation with ease. Some of these accounts are going to pay you. Some of them are going to build your personal and business credit. Some of them reduce your taxes. And one of them could save your family years of legal headaches and thousands of dollars. So I'm Brittany Calloway, and my job is to help you turn credit into capital and capital into freedom. And today I'm giving you the 7 accounts, the wealth stack, in the exact order I'd build it if I were starting from zero. So this is super important. Pay attention. Let's get it. So before we get into the accounts, I want you to truly understand something. These aren't just savings tips. Every single one of these accounts has a direct connection to your ability to build true wealth. And more importantly, access funding and eventually reach the tier of banking where your money is actually working for you instead of against you. I went from a 550 credit score in 2016 to over 800. I've built millions of dollars in total funding across my personal and business lines of credit across multiple different entities. And the accounts I'm about to share with you were part of that foundation. And some of them I really didn't even know about, and I had way too much cash sitting in accounts before I figured these different steps out. The ones I was missing cost me years that I cannot get back. And this is the version of the conversation I wish someone had sat down with me early on to really discuss so you don't make the same mistakes I did. So let's get into it. This is the one that most people never even think about, and most people do this actually last. And I'm putting this one here first intentionally because I want you to be thinking about this as the forefront to building your generational wealth. And I don't want you to make the mistake by doing it last. This is not just an account, it's a legal structure that holds everything else you're about to build. And the earlier you set it up and correctly, the more powerful it's actually going to work for you throughout your lifetime. So yes, I'm talking about a trust. A trust is a legal entity that holds your assets, your bank accounts, your investment accounts, your real estate portfolio, your business interests, and it's on your behalf. Instead of owning everything in your personal name or even in a business name, you're transferring it into the trust and funding those accounts. And the moment you do, 4 things are going to happen that most people building wealth never plan for. Number 1, it's going to avoid probate. So when you pass away, anything in your personal name goes through probate. And you know that's a court process that is public. It's slow, it takes months to years, and it's expensive. Assets inside a trust transfer immediately to your beneficiaries. There's no court, no delays, no public record. Number 2 is privacy. Probate is public. Anyone can look up what you own and who got it. A trust is completely private. Your wealth stays your business. Number 3 is control. You decide exactly how your wealth is distributed, on what timeline and under what conditions. You maintain full control while you're alive, and your instructions are honored after you're gone. Number 4 is asset protection. Depending on the trust structure, you can shield assets from creditors, lawsuits, and judgments, and the more you build, the more this matters. The most accessible starting point is a revocable living trust. You create it, you control it, you can change it anytime while you're alive. When you pass, it becomes irrevocable and executes your instructions without touching an actual courtroom. This is the version most people should have first, but again, depending on where you are, age-wise, irrevocable, revocable, you have to talk about it with your attorney. For deeper asset protection shielding from business liability, creditors, or legal judgments, there are irrevocable trusts and domestic asset protection trusts. Those require an actual estate planning attorney and are typically built as your wealth and exposure grows. So here's our principle on this. You do not wait until you have millions to protect before you build the structure. You build the container first, then fill it. A trust set up with $100,000 in assets is far more powerful than one set up at 1 million because it's been working, protecting, and compounding for much longer. So if you have an LLC, real estate investment accounts, even your primary home or children, talk to an estate planning attorney this year about the revocable living trust. These typically do cost between $1,500 to $3,000 for a really comprehensive package, but the cost of not having one, potentially tens of thousands in probate fees, years of delays, and your family navigating a court process during a very hard time. This is not just wealth building, this is wealth protection. And the full game includes both. Next account, the high yield savings. Your money has to be making money for you. It can't be sitting in the bank, right, not collecting any interest. So this is very simple. When you have excess money, you want to be moving it to a high yield savings account. And this is where your idle cash should actually live. So not in a checking or regular savings account that pays you 0.01% interest. So on $10,000 sitting here, you are earning $1 a year. That is not interest. That's an insult, basically. A high yield savings account is going to pay you 4, sometimes 5, even 6%, depending on the market, on that same $10,000. And that's $400 to $600 a year, just for moving your money to the right account. I've personally seen people with $300,000 sitting in a basic checking account. That money is not working for you. It is decaying against inflation. So best thing you can do is just move it. Same bank, or even look up a different one that has a higher yield savings account. I have some in the link to the description below too as well. Your personal checking account is for the transactions only. Keep just enough for monthly operating expenses, and your business checking account is for business operations. Every dollar above those operating minimums, Liz should be living in a high yield savings account, earning at least the 4 to 6%. So again, the mindset is your money should always have a job. So we got to be assigning those dollars accordingly. The best current high yield savings account, long story short, don't let your money sit without it making money. And if you're building towards business funding, the accounts we're about to cover directly connect to your ability to get approved. You can also grab my Operate Like a Pro business credit card checklist at thefundinglounge.com. It basically walks you through every step with building a profile that banks are going to compete with to lend to you. Completely free. The link is in the description. Now, the next account is the brokerage account. This is truly your wealth building engine. I want you to position this as the wealth building vehicle, not intimidating, but powerful, right? This account is where you become an actual investor, not a speculator. Now, I want to be clear. A brokerage account is where you buy stocks, index funds, bonds, and mutual funds. And I really need to make the distinction that this is not just a day trading account. This is not picking individual stocks and checking your phone every 20 minutes, right? Or trying to swing trade, do options trading, futures, none of that. This is you putting your money to work consistently over time and letting it compound and do its job. I get it. I have a trading account too, so I'm not saying don't have one. However, the majority should be focusing on the longer term wealth plan. So here's the principle that separates the wealthy people from just everyone else. Wealthy people never let their money sit. Every dollar has a job and is assigned. The brokerage account is where you deploy money that doesn't need to be liquid for the next 5 to 10 years. Index funds, mutual funds, low cost, passive investing over time. That is the play. I use Fidelity, but there are plenty of good ones out there. They're solid, their interface is straightforward. The brokerage account also unlocks the next 2 accounts on this list that we're going to talk about, which is where it gets really powerful. So the next account that's going to be is the Roth IRA. And this one I need you to pay close attention to. Most people are familiar, of course, with the 401k. And I'll say this, if your employer matches, take the match, right? That is free money and you should not leave it on the table. But here's also my honest opinion, and I'm speaking as someone who has also worked in corporate America and before converting my 401k into a Roth IRA. And this is often the smarter, longer term vehicle. So the idea is you put money in pre-tax, you're reducing your taxable income now, but you do pay taxes when you withdraw it at retirement. You're deferring a tax bill that you can't predict. With the Roth IRA, you put it in after tax dollars, so the money grows tax-free. When you withdraw at that retirement, it's 100% tax-free. All the growth, all the compound interest, all the gains, there's no surprise tax bill in 30 years from now. So on $3,000 to $4,000 a year consistently contributing over 20 or 30 years, a Roth IRA can compound to $1 million or more. Not because of any trick, because of the time and more so the discipline and consistency with the account. You can open a Roth IRA directly through a brokerage, Schwab, Fidelity, wherever you have your accounts there. And I always wondered why so many wealthy people I knew had HSAs, because I didn't know the benefits, but I'm going to tell them to you now. So here's why it's different from everything else on this list. Every other account gives you 1 or 2 tax advantages. The HSA gives you 3 at the same time. That is not a typo, that is not a loophole. It is how the account was designed. So the triple tax shield, how the HSA works. Number 1, your contributions go in pre-tax. They reduce your taxable income right now the same year you contribute. Number 2, your money grows completely tax-free inside the account. No capital gains taxes. No taxes on dividends or interest. Also, when you withdraw for qualified medical expenses, it comes out tax-free. No other account does this on all 3. Not your 401k, not your Roth IRA, only the HSA. And here's what most people don't know about the 2026 contribution limits. They just went up. So you can contribute $4,400 for an individual coverage. And here's what most people don't know, that the 2026 contribution limits, they also just went up again. But I think what's important to note is being able to take a lot of these tax advantages when you're older and not have the same repercussions as you doing the traditional accounts. So just something to really consider and look into it. Because after the age of 65, the HSA converts into what financial advisors call a stealth IRA. The penalty for non-medical withdrawals is not a factor as of right now in legislation. You can pull money out for travel, business, many expenses, and you just pay regular income tax on it, the same as a traditional IRA. But for medical expenses, it's still completely tax-free forever. And unlike your 401k, your IRA, your brokerage, HSAs have no required minimum distributions. So you never have to pull the money out. You can let it compound indefinitely. So that's a strategy that I love. Pay your medical expenses out of pocket right now while you're building wealth, but save every receipt. Let your HSA investments compound tax-free for years, even decades, then reimburse yourself later. There is no time limit on reimbursements as of right now in legislation. So that is legal, it is documented, and it is one of the cleanest wealth accumulation. And it's one of the cleanest wealth plays available to a self-employed business owner. Now, the requirement, of course, you must be enrolled in a high deductible health plan to open an HSA. So this one requires a specific insurance setup. But if you're self-employed and choosing your own health coverage, which many of you watching this are, this should absolutely be part of the decision-making process, depending on the price at the time of the purchases, because as you know, it has been fluctuating. You can open it through Fidelity, Lively, in this channel for any amount of time. You already know this one hits differently, because this is not just a savings tip. This is the account that changes what is financially possible for you and building generational wealth. So the business checking account that a lot of people sleep on, right? Because it's under your LLC. And I need you to understand that this account is not just for people who already have a thriving business. This is also for anyone who earns income from any source of beyond their actual traditional W-2 job. Any side hustles, freelance work, real estate, content creation, consulting. Even if you are just starting, it's great to have a good LLC because you need this now. Because when you have that business bank account, it's not just a place to put money, it's the foundation of an entirely separate financial profile. And that profile is what unlocks access to a completely different category of wealth tools. Because remember, your business bank account is one of the first things a lender checks when evaluating your business for funding. No account, no history, no access. Full stop, 0% business credit cards, lines of credit. Most issuers want to require at least 3 to 12 months for established businesses with that banking activity before approval. But the clock starts once you open up the account. Anything like SBA loans, funding programs, government-backed funding, grants, right? Moving something from an LLC into a nonprofit 501c3, right? All of these require active documentation, and you do have to have, season to now get some of those larger products. But a business bank account and checking account makes it clean, legal to track, deductions, software, equipment, travel, home office, marketing, you name it. And money you would hand to the IRS stays in your business because we get to do a lot of write-offs for all these different expenses. And obviously checking that too with your CPA and tax advisor. But we can literally put all our personal assets into personal, business into business. And what most people open up a business checking account and then just stop there. But what I want you to do is really treat this as a foundation of a fundable business profile. That means consistent deposits, a clean account with good activity, no overdrafts, and making sure your business address, phone number, the domain for the website, the business email, and the LLC registration all match information on the file with your bank. Because remember, like I said before, data mismatches are the number one reason lenders deny business funding applications. So you want to have clean data from day one. It's not optional. It's your actual strategy. But once you have 3 months of just business banking activity, and even sometimes less than that, depending on how seasoned your personal credit profile is, you can begin applying for funding. We can start with vendor accounts, net 30 trade lines, get a paydex score. But I also have videos of breaking down exactly how to do the sequence, right? To get that 50 to 100K and then growing it to getting $1 million line of credit. So, and we can get those 0% interest APR cards, right? With 10 to 50K limits on business lines to really start and propel your actual business. Eventually you'll get those higher SBA products at prime, eventually you'll get those SBA products at prime rates, and then you're just unstoppable. So open the LLC, get the IN, verify your LLC, show it as active on the Secretary of State website, then open the business checking account at the bank. You want to build a long relationship with them because that is what's going to eventually unlock the funding sequences. This is truly your income expansion engine, and it starts with just one account and one decision to treat your income like a business. Now, the one that I learned later in the game is the money market account. A lot of people don't talk about that one, though. That is also your active wealth accelerator. It's kind of like the hybrid because it ties everything together. It's a hybrid really between your checking account and a savings account. You have check writing privileges, meaning you can access the money, but you're earning a significantly higher interest rate, usually even sometimes 3 to 5% on the balance. This is where serious investors and business owners keep their active capital money that isn't just locked up elsewhere or deployed into the market, but it needs to be accessible while still earning a real return. And you might say, well, what is the difference? Here's the practical connection though. When you open a brokerage account, you typically get a money market account automatically because when you sell stock, those proceeds have to land somewhere. At Schwab and Fidelity and most major banks or brokerages, that landing account is a money market. So your cash earns interest while you decide what to do next with it. So again, that's a very different distinction from a high yield savings account because a high yield savings account is for your emergency fund and saving goals. So we set that and leave it. Money market is for active capital you're deploying, redeploying, and managing in real time. Because the more capital you're accumulating across these accounts, the better institutions treat you and higher interest rates, free services, access to products that aren't available at lower balance tiers. That is the system working in your favor for once. But a lot of people don't even know that or don't ever get access to it in their lifetime. So again, I've listed this full 7 account wealth stacks in the order that you should build it. In my next video, I'm going to be walking you through the ways the wealthy people are also managing their credit card annual fees and points by keeping more money in their pocket. So stay tuned.